In 1876, it was the absolute richest city in America. By 1980, it was one of the poorest. What destroyed the empire? To Hidden America Stories. Uncover the truth and subscribe for more. In 1876, a journalist named Charles Clark declared Hartford, Connecticut, the richest city in the United States. Wealthier than New York, wealthier than Boston. It was the absolute pinnacle of American wealth per capita. His math was creative, counting insurance assets as citizens' wealth. But the claim stuck because the money felt real. When you walked the streets of Hartford in the 1870s, the immense wealth was impossible to deny.
It was deep money, old river money, quiet and immovable, the kind that ensures other people's fortunes.
But by the 1980s, this richest city appeared on the census rolls as one of the 10 poorest in America.
The distance between those two absolute facts is our story. To understand it, we must start with the river.
The Connecticut River is the longest in New England, and Hartford sits right where it bends and widens. The Dutch arrived here first. Adrian Block sailed up the river in the early spring of 1614. By 1633, the Dutch West India Company built a fortified trading post called the House of Hope. They traded valuable beaver pelts with the native Sauciog people, who had lived here for thousands of years. But the English were coming. In 1636, a Puritan minister named Thomas Hooker led a massive migration. They settled just north of the Dutch fort, on land purchased from the Sauciog chief Sequasin. Hooker was no ordinary preacher. He had radical ideas about the nature of political power. Long ago, a bold voice declared that the foundation of authority is laid in the free consent of the people. That radical idea became the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, adopted in January of 1639. Considered the first written constitution in the Western world, it gives Connecticut its famous nickname today. Hartford grew rapidly as a major river town, shipping local goods directly to the global coastline. By the 1700s, lumber and livestock flowed south, while rum and manufactured goods flowed back. Yet the legendary enterprise that ultimately shaped this city's destiny for 2 centuries arose unexpectedly. In the early 1800s, Hartford's merchants desperately needed a way to manage huge maritime risks. So in 1810, they pooled $15,000 to form the Hartford Fire Insurance Company. The business insight was brilliant. Monetize the universal fear of losing everything to a catastrophe. In December 1835, a massive fire completely wiped out the financial heart of New York City. The determined company president immediately rented a sleigh and raced straight to New York. He promised terrified policyholders that Hartford would pay every single claim in full, building legendary trust. Other giants followed. The Aetna Fire Insurance Company was famously born out of a coffeehouse argument. Then came Travelers in 1864, which eventually insured the world's first. In 1866, the Steam Boiler Company began insuring the massive machines powering America's Industrial Revolution. One after another, these financial titans set up shop along Main Street, and the cash poured in. Simultaneously, Samuel Colt was building a manufacturing empire directly along the riverbank. His armory pioneered interchangeable parts and assembly lines, producing over 100 weapons every single day. This immense wealth birthed high culture. In 1844, America's oldest public art museum opened its doors. By 1854, Hartford citizens funded the nation's very first public municipal park, using entirely local tax dollars. In the 1870s, literary giant Mark Twain built his dream home here, writing his greatest masterpieces. It was Twain himself who coined the term for this hyper-wealthy era, the Gilded Age. By the mid-20th century, Hartford reached its absolute peak, home to over 100,000 people. Main Street was anchored by G. Fox, a retail temple that drew shoppers from across New England. Led by a visionary leader, the nation's first female retail president, the company pioneered advanced employee welfare.
She fiercely refused to move the store to the suburbs, keeping the city's downtown heart beating strong.
But tragedy was waiting. In July 1944, a historic and solemn event caught the city completely off guard, changing its landscape forever. The event deeply affected 167 families, leaving a permanent mark on the heart of the community for generations to come. After 1950, the grand decline began, not with an explosion, but with a quiet, steady erosion. Post-war highways and cheap suburban land began drawing wealthy tax-paying families out of the urban core. Without a structured regional tax system, Hartford's core public revenue experienced a sharp contraction. In 1958, city leaders made a fatal mistake under the guise of progress. The vibrant community of Front Street was completely removed, replaced by nothing but cold concrete. Massive interstates sliced directly through the downtown, cutting Hartford off from its own river forever. New suburban megamalls began choking out the remaining life of traditional downtown retail stores. On January 29, 1993, the iconic flagship G. Fox store closed its doors for the final time. With its closure, the vibrant heartbeat of Hartford's downtown was officially reduced to a ghost town. The city's last remaining cultural anchor was its beloved professional NHL hockey team, the Whalers. But in 1997, the team packed up and left for North Carolina, crushing the city's spirit. Hartford transformed into a strict commuter city, crowded by day, but entirely hollow by night. By 2017, crushed by a shrinking tax base and deep poverty, the city faced total bankruptcy. Only a historic, last-minute, multi-million-dollar state bailout saved Hartford from absolute financial collapse. Yet, despite the painful collapse, the ghosts of Hartford's incredible greatness still remain standing. The ancient museums, the public parks, and Colt's iconic Blue Dome still tell their story. They serve as a silent warning that immense wealth is fragile without sustainable long-term vision. America's richest city proved that what we meticulously build can easily crumble if we fail to preserve its heart. What do you think about this cover-up? Comment below and subscribe to Hidden America Stories. See you next time.